Hi everyone, I am Rovishinyo and I'll be your tutor for your entrepreneurship subject. And first of all, I want to congratulate you all for getting through your matriculation and coming to class 11 and taking up commerce as your subject. So this will be your book for your entrepreneurship subject. And if you don't have your textbook, you can download it from the NCERT website and you get the whole textbook there. So first, the word, before we study entrepreneurship, we should understand the term entrepreneur. Okay, so entrepreneur was first coined by Richard Cantillon. He is an economist as well as an entrepreneur. So he coined the term entrepreneur, and entrepreneur is derived from the French word entreprendre. Okay, so it's derived from the French word entreprendre. And here, when you look at the word entrepreneur, it sounds like entrepreneur, but in real we pronounce it as entrepreneur. So we will use it as entrepreneur. Okay, there are different definitions given by different economists and different entrepreneurs. So the person who first coined the term entrepreneur defined entrepreneur as a person who pays a certain price to buy a product and resell it at an uncertain price, which means he buys a product at a certain price. That is, the product he meant is resources, land and labor, or different sources of production, and sells it at uncertain price. Uncertain price here means at higher price, which means profit. So Richard Cantillon, who termed the term entrepreneur first, defines an entrepreneur as an individual or as a person who pays a price a certain price for a particular product and sells it at uncertain price. Another person have defined entrepreneur as this person is J.B. Say. So J.B. Say defines an entrepreneur as a person who avails the land of one. Okay, who avails the land of one, the labor of another, and yet the capital of another to make profit. So J.B. Say says that an entrepreneur is a person who gathers all the factors of production together to come up with a particular product and earn profit. Another entrepreneur, that is Peter F. Drucker, defined entrepreneur as a person who seeks for opportunities, searches for it, responds to it, and exploits it. So I hope by now you got the knowledge of who is an entrepreneur. In simple terms, an entrepreneur is just a businessman. Okay. Why do we need entrepreneurs, or why does a country need entrepreneurs? Everyone, or all the countries in the world, need entrepreneurs to be prosperous or to gain prosperity, because if we have more entrepreneurs, then the country will be more developed. As if we look back to the history, the countries who have more numbers of entrepreneurs are more prosperous and have prosperity. So if there are entrepreneurs, that means there will be more number of production. If there is more number of production, then it will lead to increase in gross domestic product and gross national product. If there is increase in GDP and GNP, it will ultimately lead to the national income, which in turn will lead to the prosperity of a country. So every country and every nation in the world must motivate people to take up entrepreneurship and be entrepreneur to be prosperous. So let's go to the concept, move on to the concept of entrepreneurship. Here, in simple terms, entrepreneurship is just a ship that carries the entrepreneur to reach its destination. Okay, so entrepreneurship is just a ship to carry the entrepreneur to reach its destination. And the concept of entrepreneurship here, there are three words that comprises of entrepreneurship. And what does this concept means is that entrepreneur is a person. Okay, entrepreneur is the person who undertakes risk, is a person who is innovative, and is a person who is optimistic. So an entrepreneur is the person who undertakes certain processes or activities. Here, processes or activities are those activities that as an entrepreneur or as an individual he takes. That is, he collects different sources of materials, different factors of production and financial sources in order to come up with a product or the enterprise. So enterprise is the final result or the outcome of an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is just this ship that carries an entrepreneur to reach the final destination, that is the creation of an enterprise. But remember, as an entrepreneur, the only objective is not to create a product or come up with an enterprise. Along with the creation of a product and the enterprise, he or she also seeks for the growth and expansion of the business or the enterprise or the product. Next, let's go on to the functions of entrepreneurs. Here, there are four major broad functions of an entrepreneur, and these four major broad functions are further subdivided into certain factors, okay, or certain functions. And the four broad functions of entrepreneurs are entrepreneurial functions, promotional functions, managerial functions, and commercial functions. So let's move on to the entrepreneurial functions, and the first function that is under entrepreneurial function is innovation. So as an entrepreneur needs to be innovative. He has to come up with new methods, new technologies, and new discoveries. As an entrepreneur, the basic quality to be an entrepreneur is to be innovative and come up with new methods, new technologies which was not there before. So we, as an entrepreneur, we should think differently and be innovative. So entrepreneurs are always innovators. Next is risk taking. The second function of entrepreneurial functions under the function of an entrepreneur is risk taking. An entrepreneur should be a risk barrier, because profit is the reward for bearing risk. We have to step out of our comfort zone. We have to take risk as an entrepreneur. Without risk, you cannot earn profit. Risk means uncertainty or possibility of loss, or in simple terms, risk is danger. Okay, so risk bearing as an entrepreneur, everyone has to be a risk bearing and be optimistic and move on. I would like to give you an example on risk bearing. Mukesh Ambani, when you hear of them, Mukesh Ambani, what comes to your mind is, I hope, just the telecom, digital, and this petroleum, right? So have you heard of the mango garden of this Mukesh Ambani? I hope some of you might have heard, but some of you might not have heard. So let's go back to 1997, when this Reliance company had an industry, and during that time, the main problem of this Reliance industry was that they were creating lots of pollution. So this Pollution Control Board of India came and closed down the industry of the Reliance company. So the land remained barren for a certain period of time. So this Mukesh Ambani went to that site and asked the officials why was the land barren, and the officials said the land is barren because nothing can be done here, nothing can grow here, because of the velocity of the wind and because of the salinity of the soil. But Mukesh Ambani took the risk of planting mango trees there. Okay, he took the risk of planting mango trees there, and today they have the best producers of mangoes in the world, with using different scientific technologies and different methods. They grew mangoes in a barren land where people thought nothing can be done. So Mukesh Ambani took the risk of planting mangoes and earning profit from the barren land where people once thought that nothing can grow there. Next is organizational building. As an entrepreneur, the most crucial stage or the crucial time is to build an organization. As an entrepreneur, we or individuals should come up with an enterprise, and collecting different factors of productions and resources and coming up with a product is the most crucial thing that an entrepreneur does as an entrepreneur. So next we move on to the promotional functions. Under the promotional functions, the first is investigating an idea or discovering an idea. Without an idea, an entrepreneur cannot create a product or cannot come up with an enterprise. So investigating an idea is the first thing that an entrepreneur does. I want to give you an example of Kashan Bhai Patel, the creator of Nirma washing powder. So he was the first. This Kashan Bhai Patel was working as a chemist, as a chemist in Mineral Development Corporation in Gujarat. So he came up with a thought that he would create this Nirma washing powder for poor rural women in Gujarat who cannot afford those branded washing powders. So Kashan Bhai Patel came up with this idea of making a cheap detergent which will help these rural women in Gujarat. So he started making this detergent at his own kitchen. He started from his kitchen, and whenever he went to work, he took a bag and sold of the detergent on his way. He did the same while coming back from his work. He did that for 3 years. After 3 years, he came up with an enterprise at Ahmedabad. He came up with an enterprise, and this enterprise, once he started selling to the rest of India, was a failure, and he could not sell this product. And during that time, when television was new, he stopped the production. He stopped the production, and he banned all the selling of this Nirma washing powder to the rest of the country. He stopped it for 1 month, and he advertised it in TV for a month. Then his business flourished. So discovering an idea is very important. Now he earns, he earns 2,500 crores annually, and Nirma washing detergent holds 40% of the detergent market in India, and it is a very successful business now. So discovering an idea as an entrepreneur is the first step and a very important step. Next is detailed investigation. After discovering the idea, we need to investigate the market, or market surveys needs to be done. So detailed investigation. Once we discover the idea, the second step that we need to do is investigate the market or do market surveys. We need to understand what is the demand of the product in the market, what is the total demand, what is the supply, and what are the sources of resources, and from where will we get the resources. So thorough knowledge and investigation of the product is very important. The next is assembling the required resources. Once we discover the idea and investigate the market, the next step is to assemble the requirements. So assembling the requirements can be getting the resources, or getting your employees, or getting the financial requirements, or if your product is going to be the new one in the market, acquiring the patent right as well. So as an entrepreneur, under the promotional functions, he or she needs to assemble the required resources in his enterprise. Next is arranging finances. So finance is the lifeblood or the heart of every business. Without finance, a business cannot survive and grow in the market. So as an entrepreneur, we should seek the sources of finance. Where will we get the finance? Whether it's going to be internal or from the external sources, and who will be our source of finance is very important. Here, Narayan Murthy, the founder of Infosys, in 1981, the main source of his financing the software was his wife. So his wife gave him rupees 10,000 to start his business. We'll move on to the next function, that is managerial functions. Under managerial functions, planning. Planning is thinking before doing and thinking in advance what to do. So planning is thinking in advance and deciding what you will do for your business, for future course of action, what to do, who will do, and how will you do it. Next is organizing. Organizing is gathering different activities and grouping them together. For example, the HR department will gather the employees. The marketing department will do certain advertisement. In the same manner, organizing is giving different tasks to different people and then grouping it together as one to achieve the common goal. Staffing. The word staff means employees of certain or people working for a group of organization or an organization. So staffing relates to employees. Here it means recruitment, selection, training, transfer. Everything comes under the function of staffing. The next is directing. Directing is giving instructions. Giving instructions that as an entrepreneur, a person needs to give instruction to the employees to achieve its objective. Next is leadership. An entrepreneur should be a leader. Okay? An entrepreneur should lead, guide, and influence the employees to work for the betterment and to achieve the common goal, which will help the employee as well as the entrepreneur. Next is coordinating. The next function is coordination. Coordination is the balance between different departments. The entrepreneur tries to balance and bring coordination or communication to communication of different departments to one and achieve its goal. The last function of managerial function is controlling. Controlling is, in simple terms, it is measuring the actual performance with the planned performance, whether the performances are going according to the planned performance or not. If not, and if the entrepreneur finds any deviation, then he will take corrective measures to correct it. The last function under functions of entrepreneur is commercial functions. Under commercial function, the first function is the production function, and production relates to manufacturing of products and goods and services, and also ancillary and advisory activities. If the enterprise is small, just a single person might run it, and if the organization is large, 2 or more persons might run it. The next is marketing. Marketing is the distribution or movement of goods from the producer to the consumer. So marketing relates to advertisement in different newspapers or televisions or everything. Marketing relates to the consumer needs and wants and satisfaction of the consumer. Next is personal. Personal are employees. So an entrepreneur does not only employ the employees to work for it, but he also should think how to retain the employees in the company. So for example, giving health benefits, safety benefits, and certain compensation and commissions to these employees are also required. Next is accounting and finance. Accounting and finance, or accounting, is the systematic record or keeping systematic record of the books of accounts, so that an entrepreneur will come to know about his financial positions. And finance, as I've said earlier, finance is the lifeblood of all business activities, and entrepreneur needs to procure finance and seek help from financial institutions and search for certain schemes and sources of finance. Thank you.